Hi everybody, welcome back to Viking MTG. Here to do a deck tech and a little reminder video. These are the four masterpieces that are up for grabs uh, when I hit 50 subs and I do the live stream. The person that is randomly selected that will win will be able to choose between one of these four. The Trench Gatehulk, Threads of Disloyalty, Attrition, or Slaughter Pact. I decided to give the choice to the four. They all have different values, of course, but I know some people don't play standard, some people play modern, some people play EDH, so this will give people a choice. Torrential Gearhulk is probably the most valuable of them as far as money, but once the cycle happens, I would expect Torrential Gearhulk to drop in value. It's possible. It's possible it'll hold. We'll see. Just wanted to give everybody a reminder. We've got 2 to go. If you got a friend or a buddy or somebody you know that likes Magic the Gathering, somebody you played a game with, let them know about the channel, get them to sign up, subscribe, and they'll be in on a chance to win one of these. And once whichever one's given away, I'll mail out, and the other 3 will go into my patron grab bag giveaway, my grab bag pile, essentially. They'll be randomly selected among that the pile that I have for patron giveaway, by patron grab bags. Possibly a future giveaway as well, something like that. So I just wanted to do a little reminder on that. So that's where we're going to stand, and these are the masterpieces that are on the line there. So let me sleeve these beauties back up. They're all minty, gem minty. Of course, never played. Actually, I played the Torrential Gearhulk one F&M just for the fun of it. Got a couple funny looks. It was good times though. All right, so there we go. Up for grabs. So get excited. We're really close. Now deck tech. So I'm going to be playing this deck Friday. It's Sarkhan's Unsealing deck. But I've done a lot of twisting and turning and a lot of online testing and a lot of hands-on face-to-face testing with other people, and this is what I have come up, the best mix. I've put Samut in there. Samut gives up to 1 target creature double strike until end of turns, and Samut is kind of fallen on the wayside, but she's actually pretty darn awesome. She's 2 red and a green, which is easy to produce in this deck. She's comes out with 4 loyalty. Her +1 is up to 1 target creature gains double strike until end of turn. And -2, Samut tested deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 target creatures and their players. And her -7 is you search your library for up to 2 creatures and their planeswalker cards, put them into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. And I'd just like to show how she interacts with Sarkhan's Unsealing. I can, first off, any of these big derps, like Gigantosaurus, like Steel Leaf Champions, I use that +1 and give them double strike, and it's an unregulated monster out there double striking. It's extremely powerful with this deck that's meant to have these big derps out there. But if I have a Sarkhan's Unsealing out and I use her ultimate and I grab 2 creatures 7 power or more, throw them on the battlefield, I just hit you for 8 and all your creatures for 8. It's devastating. So Samut is the perfect planeswalker for this deck. She really is. I've done a lot of tweaking. This is one of the few decks where she fits. 4 Sarkhan's Unsealings. Clearly, it's the backbone of the deck. Gigantosaurus, I don't think you really have a choice but to play 2 Gigantosaurus in this deck. It triggers the +7. It triggers the 4 damage to each opponent and each creature or planeswalker for 5 mana. And you're going to get 5 green. I'll show you the land that I'm playing. Register Alpha is huge. Absolutely huge. Again, he will trigger that. And then you've got a great swinger that you can sacrifice a 3/3 Dino token. Llanowar Elves, you need ramp. Gonna need ramp with this deck. So Llanowar Elves, you just have to play Llanowar Elves, in my opinion. If you're playing green in this format, you need Llanowar Elves. Steel Leaf Champions, again, they trigger the first. They don't trigger the second, but they trigger the first, and will blow up anything on the board, most things. And if you give them double strike from Samu, you're kicking butt. Galtas, have to play Galta. There's no choice. And Traxos, playing it online, playing with Traxos, he is the biggest puncher. He's done so much work for me in this deck. There's so many legendary, there's enchantments, planeswalkers, legendary creatures, all kinds of stuff that can untap them, but the untapping isn't the biggest part. For 4 mana, 7/7, I blow up everything on the board. For 4 mana. I don't care if you've got a bunch of cats out that are 3/3s or whatever. I blow everything up on the board and hit you in the face, and it's all gone. So this card is perfect for this deck. 2 Gore Claws. This is probably the quickest thing you could sideboard out, but giving him trample, and if you've already got double strike and then giving him trample, good game. It's ridiculous. Gore Claw's good. She's, Sugar Bear's not the best, but she's pretty good. 2 Scroungers. Just I want to have that a little bit of mid-range swingy combat action, and this is it's kind of the funny option. Yargle, I wanted to have a black creature because I'm playing black mana. I wanted to have a black creature. I want to have black mana to bring the Scrap Heap Scroungers back, so I might as well put something in here that's big and derpy that uses black mana, and it's a 9/3. So for 5 mana, I'm again blowing up everything on the board, and you in the face for 4. And then I've got a 9/3 to swing out with, and if I give it double strike, God forbid, again, you're dead. Ronuses, and that you're gonna activate Ronus. With the stuff out here, any of these creatures out, except for Llanowar Elves and Scrap Heap Scrounger, you activate Ronus. You have to play at least 2 Ronuses. Servants of the Conduit, I did 3. And my land, so this is my creature base. It's very dominant. This deck does serious work. The biggest thing that'll hurt this deck is enchantment removal, and that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to combat. That's its biggest weakness, is enchantment removal. But I've got enough big creature power that if they're just playing enchantment removal and obstruction and cast outs and seal aways and stuff like that, eventually I'm going to get enough big creatures on the board that you can't stop me. I'm eventually going to run you over. It will happen. And of course I lose games, but I'd say I've got a 80% win rate with this deck, which is pretty good in the current meta. I love it. I think it's an absolutely outstanding deck, and I can't wait to play it this Friday. So I'll show you the land I'm using, and I'll show you the sideboard. And I cannot tell you the value that Samu has in this deck. She's unbelievable. I got her for Ultimate once. I pulled Yargle and Galta out, and he had a pretty solid board. He was playing Knights, and he had a really solid board out. I thought I was done, and I blew him up, 8 damage to everything, wiped his whole board out, and knocked him down to like 5 life, and then finished him. It's so powerful. So here's our land. With the number of colors we're playing, we kind of have to play Aether Hubs 4 Aether Hubs, plus we got those Servants of the Conduit in to fuel the Aether Hubs. We got Sheltered Thickets. I also want the cycling to be able to fish through stuff. We've got Rootbound Crags, 2 Swamps, bunch of forests. Gonna need a lot of green mana. 2 Hashep Oasis, and 2 Blooming Marshes. This is the perfect combination of mana. I've got the Oases to give something a boost in case I need to. I can use that on a Scrappy Scrounger or even a Llanowar Elf and then activate Ronus to swing. There's a lot of options that Hashep Oasis gives you that are invaluable. Your forests, have to have them. Swamps for Yargle and for Scrapheap Scrounger. These 2 for Yargle and Scrapheap Scrounger. And then you got your red and green in your Aether Hubs. So I've tweaked with the mana, tweaked hard with the mana, and this is what I've come up with. The best mix playing online and real life. And I generally do not have problems with mana with this layout. And I'll show you my sideboard. The biggest thing this thing is missing is flying creatures. So I can sideboard in Aethersphere Harvesters. I put Lifecrafter's Bestiaries in there. Magma Sprays if I end up against a lot of low to the ground knights or cats or whatever. I'm going to throw these in for early stuff. If I end up against mono red, I'm throwing in Chandra. I put Nisses in there. Great against control. Thrashing Brontodons. To be able to, I can sub those in if I'm playing against white with enchantments. I can sub those in and blow up your Cast Out or your Seal Away and take my creature back. Same thing with Vivian Reach. Kind of gives me the same enchantment destruction, and it can stop flying creatures. And this is my foil Vivian Reed. That was a nice promo. And then 2 Carnage Tyrants. I can sideboard in Tyrants against control. I won't play them main board because I don't want a lot of 6 mana. I don't want 6 mana in this. I want 4 or 5 mana creatures. I don't want my curve to be above, pretty much above. You know, everything's 4, 2, 3, 4, and there's 1 5 mana creature. There's nothing above 5 in here. So I really don't want to add in a 6 mana creature. Of course, Galta doesn't count. I mean, Galta, you're not going to pay 12 for Galta. Ideally, you're going to pay 2 green for Galta. So I'll sub this in if I'm playing control, or if I really feel like I need that power in there, that hexproof. But it's a great utility card. It's really hard to deal with. But there's a lot of Settle the Wreckages out there. So that'll hurt you. But that, this is what I'm going with. Aethersphere Harvester, of course, is great against flyers. It's a great way to counter flyers, as well as Vivian. So Vivian's awesome, actually. She's pretty darn good. I like her. She's solid, especially if you're playing with somebody you know has flying and enchantments. It's invaluable. So that's it. That's the deck that I will be playing on Friday. Let me know what you think about it. It's dominant. I never thought I'd find a deck for Samut that I actually wanted to play her in, but this is the deck for Samut. She's absolutely awesome. Gets lots of mileage. But yeah. So, like I said, let me know what you think. Give me your opinions on this. I'm putting this in taking the cats out and putting Sarkhans in. I was thinking about playing cats, but I think this Friday, I'm going to try this deck out. My cat deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if I've shown it on the channel, but Regal Caracoles, Leonin Vanguards, it's all shuffled. A Johnny, Leonin Vanguard, Dorn Pouncer, Thopter Arrest, Leona War Leader. This is pretty standard. I mean, you have to play these specific cards in this cat deck, and this, if you want to get your max out of it, Pride Sovereign, Sacred Cat, Pride Sovereign. You have to play Radiant Destinies. It's huge in this deck. Darn Pouncers, Leonin War Leaders. Radiant Destiny just gives you that turn 3 relevance, and it makes your Adorn Pouncers and your Sacred Cats and your Leonin Vanguards a lot harder to kill, a lot harder to remove. Johnny's Primate, they got to spend a lot of mana to get rid of them at that point. And nobody wants to do that in the first couple turns. You want to get your board state going in the first couple turns. Regal Caracal. Trying to lay out the deck here. See, this is my cat deck. And I've tried to foil out these decks. I know it's kind of silly because they'll cycle out, but I love foiling decks out. It's fun. You know, some of this stuff is going to be around a long time, so. Leonin War Leader. Leonin War Leader is awesome. I mean, I get him out. Most likely I have a Radiant Destiny out, and I very well have Regal Caracal out. So he's a 6/6, and he just makes big, decent-sized lifelinkers. So, and another Ajani. I do 3 Ajanis, 4 Sacred Cats, 4 Adon Pouncers, 4 Ajani's Pride Mates. He's absolutely necessary. Leonin War Leaders, Pride Sovereign again, 4 Radiant Destinies. So this is where I go. The Thopter Arrests save my butt all the time. They're awesome. They are a lifesaver. They'll pull stuff off the board, and it's awesome. 3 mana to take anything you want off the board, artifact or creature. It's awesome. So Leonin Vanguard will trigger Johnny's Pride Mate. Sacred Cat, I mean, you can swing on turn 2. They block it. It dies. You gain a life. Johnny's Pride Mate gets a trigger. Gains +1/+1, and then you just bring your Sacred Cat back out of your graveyard. It's a great combo. Leonin Vanguard, as long as you have 3 creatures out, that 1 life triggers, a Johnny's Pride Mate triggers. And they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then you get a Johnny out and start putting 1/1 counters on stuff. He's invaluable. He's great. Radiant Destinies, once you get Vigilance, I mean, you say you get a 4/4 Dawn Pouncer with double strike and Vigilance. Good game. It gets out of control. This deck really can get out of control. But if you don't work fast and don't whittle your opponent down fast, you will eventually get overwhelmed by certain decks. You have to be super, super hyper aggressive with this deck. You cannot sit back and bide your time with this deck. You will fail. You have to be hyper aggressive. You have to be pretty much swinging the entire time. You know, don't be stupidly reckless, but you cannot be reserved or, defensive with this deck. It is not a defensive deck. It's straight nonstop offense. I put Johnny's Yieldings in here, but I've never really made it work. He's so expensive to get out. 6 mana to get him on the board. I don't really want that 6 mana. Like I said before, I don't want anything higher. Most decks, I don't want anything higher than 5 in this format. Heroic Interventions, hugely important against a lot of decks. Exelon's Bindings, huge. Can remove Hazards and never bring one back. There's so many options for Exelon's Binding. Serpopods, bring them in against control. Again, Ronuses, invaluable. Even in this deck, eventually you're gonna get him triggered. But I sideboarded him in here because we do have smaller creatures, and maybe a little harder to trigger him. Authority of the Consuls, huge against other creature decks. Sell the Wreckages, put Settle in here if I'm going up against Dinos or Dragons or something, where I don't want to get overwhelmed. I throw this in, I got my cat tokens. So that's what that's my cat deck. Got a ton of other decks, of course. I've built pretty much every deck I'll play anytime soon. And then I'm trying to at the same time plan out decks for after the cycle. But it's really hard to resist putting all the great cards from this current meta in there, because there's some amazing cards in this meta. And having all these sets combined, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And it's really going to suck to lose them all. To lose half the format, it's going to suck. And even it's going to happen before we get Guilds of Ravnica. That's going to be a punch in the face. But yeah, that's what I've got. So just to remind everybody about the giveaway. That was the main purpose of this, and then I got to showing you guys decks. But yeah, do not forget about the giveaway. And like I said, if you got a friend or a brother or a sister or whatever that you can get to sub. I really don't want to do it before we hit 50. I set 50 as the goal, but I'm anxious to give one of those away. It's by no means something I don't want to do. I absolutely want to give one away. I love doing giveaways. I love, making people's days. I've kind of always been that way. So I'm sometimes a little more generous than I should be, but at the same time, we're playing a game. you gotta treat it like a game. So if you don't treat Magic the Gathering like a game, then that's where you become a d-bag, if you know what I mean. So I know all the guys I know that take this game too seriously. Yeah, you know them real fast when you meet them. So just can't take this game too seriously. You're gonna get mad when you lose every once in a while, but don't let it consume you. So, all right, so that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Post this up in a little bit, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your week. And get out to F&M. We need to get out to our LGSs and go to F&M. Staff Arena and go to F&M. Get out there, meet some people, have some fun. Go to a new store if you've been going to the same store forever and you're bored with it. So go have a good time. So gonna head to bed. Night all. Peace.